Hey everyone, Maury Curtis Dunbar here with Painted Studio. I'm Jennifer Ferguson's an Artistic Painting Studios guest retailer today. And we are going to be working on some fun new projects. It's very exciting. I'm hoping that, I gotta give everybody a second to get on, and then I'm gonna flip my camera down, but the other thing I should do is grab my iPad, which was all the way over there, so that I can hopefully see to catch up with everybody when they ask questions. It's not how this, Facebook can be a little weird, so sometimes that doesn't always work, but we'll see. Give me just a second, and I can't do this before we turn the cameras on. Facebook doesn't let that happen. So, let me see. Okay, I'm on the video. I'll turn the comments on so I can see whoever's here. And thank you for stopping in. All right, so now we're all set. Now, I'm sure some of you saw Jennifer's live last week. She introduced you all to our new heat transfer vinyl. I think that says Monic? Nice to see you. Thank you for joining us. All right, so your heat transfer vinyl, and I did a whole, hey Debbie, nice to see you too. I did a whole video just the other day of how you put this through your cutter, how you program it, and how it works. I have a Cricut Maker, and if I stop talking long enough, you might actually hear it cutting a pattern in the back. So I made a whole bunch of different designs. I practiced on them. And this is the first time I've ever done this intentionally on a video, but I'm going to make you all look at my chest. I created my own Painted Studio paintbrush logo tee. Now I know it's reversed for you, but it isn't reversed for me, because this is a lesson you have to learn. When you do lettering and you put it through your cutter, you have to make sure to mirror it. Now, this looks all perfectly, this is a shirt I'm doing for my neighbor. This all looks perfectly fine to you, but if I put this face down on the shirt, it's gonna end up printing reversed. Why? Because I wasn't smart enough to hit the mirror when this cut. All right, we're gonna do a quick, oh, Monique, I'm sorry. I saw M-O-N-I-C and I wasn't sure how to pronounce it. Thank you, Monique, for correcting me. I appreciate that. Okay, so you cut, these come in rolls 3 feet long or more. You cut off the piece you need. You mount it on your Cricut Maker or your Silhouette Cutter's mat, dull side up, because this dull side is the adhesive and you need your cutter to cut through that. And it comes out of your cutter. Let me see if I have one unweeded here. Well, it basically will come out of your cutter like this, whatever size you cut in there, and then you have to weed the pattern out. Now you can see I'm weeding a pattern right now. Some patterns, the more complicated, are much more time consuming, but I'm gonna work on this one and talk to you about the weeding process and the working process while you all are watching. Now, it's way easier to weed this if you have it on a dark surface. Why? Because the cutter lines are very, very fine. They're very, very hard to see sometimes. So if you do it on a dark surface, the lines become more obvious. And I'll scroll the camera down a little further to show you what I mean. I always tape it down. You could do this on your cutter mat, but I found, having been cutting a ton of these all week, that the cutter mats aren't dark enough in the background to really help. So I put it on a dark paint. This is just polystyrene board that I had that was primed dark brown, so I happen to have a dark board. You're going to need, oh, I gotta reach. You're gonna need a couple tools when you do the weeding. These are LED lights. They're party favors. If you get them, I'm including them personally in all my sales, but if you hold them down close, let's see if I can zoom in, and it's going to take a minute for me to get the camera in the right place so you can see my zoom. Let's see if I can get it even more zoomed in. All right, so if I hold this down tight to this, and it's still not going to show up great on the camera, it will pick up the little white lines around here and around all of my cutting surfaces and allow me to pick this out. Now, this is a very complex design. So I'm going to set my little light here, and you can get these at the dollar store. They're very inexpensive. And I have a pair of very fine tweezers. I also have, let's get it in the camera, like a picker, but you could use a safety pin. And I have a small pair of scissors because when I start peeling some of the larger area out, I like to trim it. So once this is all cut, you're going to go in and you're going to start pulling out the odd bits. Now, not every design you cut is going to be as complex as this. Quite frankly, this is very complex. This is going to take me a while. And as you see, I put a piece of tape on my finger, and I'll show you why. When I weed this stuff out, I stick it on the tape. That way I don't have to chase down a little million bits of vinyl adhesive and hope that I don't get them stuck to the wrong thing. So I'm just going to show you the weeding process for a few minutes. And it's really, when it's the little stuff, it's actually very easy to do. Now, I get that a pattern this detailed will make some people crazy. I happen to love stuff like this, but you can use your Cricut or your Silhouette to cut words, to cut basic designs, to cut more complex designs, or you can reach out to Jennifer or to me or to any of the other retailers who are carrying this product, and maybe they will cut the design for you. And I need to stick a big old sign up on my laptop and on my cutter that says, if you're cutting words, mirror them, because I have done this 4 times and cut it wrong 4 times this week, because that's what I do. All right, I'm gonna look and see if anybody has any questions. I don't see any at the moment. I lean back and forth because my cutter's over here on the other side. I know I'm so zoomed in you can't see what I'm pointing at. I'll just keep weeding. But my cutter is cutting out actually a horse design that I'm putting up on my own website for my niece. But this is actually something for my son. I before I sell anything, I usually test it out on my family. So my son, my niece, my nephew, my neighbors, they all get really interesting stuff. Now, like I said, not everybody wants to weed out a pattern this detailed. I kind of love doing this. I love just sticking a movie on and weeding this out. However, doing this on a large scale for people might get kind of overwhelming. And that cutter is still cutting away. I thought I picked a less complicated pattern, but I was wrong. Oops, it stopped. Okay. So I've weeded enough. I think you get the idea of what weeding is. And this stuff is kind of stretchy. So if you have a bad spot, you can kind of tap it back down. Now the cool thing is too, let me zoom back out. Oh, hi Patricia from Michigan, nice to see you. Now the cool thing is I only have to weed out as much of this design as I want, because if I just press the iron over the rest of it, it will melt the adhesive solid. What do I mean by that? Okay, well, that moves us on to our next step. Let's pull this off the table. I'm going to come back and weed on that for a while later. But that's what, by the way, when we pluck out all the details, that's what weeding is. That's what that means, that phrase means. All right, this one just came literally out of my printer. So when it comes out of the printer, it doesn't look like much. When you get up close, you can see all the little cut details. So putting it down on a dark surface will help you figure out where everything is. I will also pass on one other detail. Weed all the little stuff inside the pattern before you pull this off. And I'll show you why. Okay. This is for my son as well. This is the Cthulhu stencil that I made for him. This stuff is sticky. So if you don't weed out the center first and you put your arm in it, it sticks to your arm. So weed out all the little center bits first, then take the border out, because otherwise you're gonna eventually ruin the attackability for this to stick to the fabric while you iron. And you can see my arm print right there. So let's, that's why you do that way. All right, so here's a t-shirt that I started earlier for my neighbor. It's nice and cool now, so I can peel back the foil. So hopefully this came out well. And probably needs a little more ironing one or two spots, but we're good. So you can see that this says Christopher Mark Fine Flowers and Gifts. I need to press a little more there because why? That one side just did not want to take adhesive to it because I was messing with it. I had my iron temperature going all over the place. Yeah, I wasn't being a good person at that point with this. Now, here's what we're going to talk about. Let me zoom back out even further. Here's your iron. You start out setting it to the lowest setting possible, which is synthetics or nylon. The reason for that is, and by the way, nice transfer, you can see it clearly. The plastic that this stuff is mounted on could melt. Let me make sure. Oh, my iron's not hot, I gotta restart it. I thought I had it set hot enough that that needs to warm for just a minute or so. So what happens is, I lost track of what I was saying, is what happens. All right, go back to this. So this plastic that it's mounted on, if you get it too hot, you can melt it. So you don't want to do that. And what you're going to do first, after I get this one spot fixed, and then we'll just show you exactly how this heat transfer works. I just want to fix one spot before I lay another foil over it and accidentally create a problem. This is like every other foil adhesive video. It takes a second for it to get hot. It has to bond. And then you have to let it cool. That's all sticking, so I'm just going to take a little scissor, trim that off so that I can work around it. Because really, there's only one spot I was worried about right there. And we have to let, obviously, as other foil adhesives that you use for heat transfer, you have to let this cool completely. All right, so right over here, actually, let me do this side because this is really where he had it on his sign. So right over here, on his sign outside of his building, he has an iris. I cut the iris for this as well. So first, here's the stem. We're going to set that right there. Actually, we're going to set a little lower because I know that the flower is going to stick up over the top of the lettering. So I'm going to stick that low. And you can see right here that the adhesive is frosty. I'm going to zoom in again a little bit, and it might take, whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. Sorry folks, you're looking at my ceiling and now I got to flip the camera around. Didn't mean to do that. Sorry about that. All right, let's zoom in just a little. My Zoom does not want to work again. Sorry about that, everybody. So I'm just going to leave it as it is. So you can see this is frosty. when you put the heat on here, and you're gonna leave it on here for anywhere from 8 to 15 seconds, it will turn clear, meaning it'll look darker on the fabric. You're melting that adhesive that's attached to the vinyl. All right, and you can see it's almost clear. I'm just gonna check it a little more. All right, that should be clear enough to peel. So I'm gonna check it, carefully lift it, and if it's not lifting and leaving the adhesive behind, I pull it, push it back down. But this is working, yay. It worked. And I cut mine apart when they're small so I can control where I'm placing them. All right, the next thing I'm gonna do is take a little bit of this foil, because this is the stem to the iris. And I don't have any bright green that's in foil fabric, so it will not, the bright green I had is not for fabrics. Sorry, struggling with the words today. All right, and this is still set to silk. My iron, the synthetic, is too low. It doesn't clear the adhesive, so I bumped it up to silk. I can even go up to wool on mine, but you have to test your iron. So I set my foil down, not so pretty side down, because that's what has to stick to the adhesive. And then I'm holding the iron and I'm pushing on it for about 30 seconds. Hey Nancy, nice to see you here too. Everybody's popped in today. Now I have the top of the flower to do too, but I need to let this is gonna have to cool a little before, obviously, I can pull this foil back to do another foil transfer on here. I'm just gonna iron it a little bit to make sure it's completely attached where it needs to be. And it is. I can see the nice thing, especially with this adhesive, is that you can see where it grabs really clearly. It's hard for you all to see on camera, I know, but yeah, you're just gonna have to take my word for it. All right. Now the other thing I did learn the hard way is when you do t-shirts, put them on a board. Why? Because I did my own, I did a bunch of them without putting them on a board, and sometimes peeling off the backing can cause the fabric to stretch, and then that stretches the adhesive, which then cracks it, so you don't get a nice pattern. So instead, so I'm looking at the size of the t-shirts as I'm talking to you. So instead, I'm going to tell you that you want to, let's see, this is for my nephew, and I'm going to do it on the back of the shirt because he likes his patterns in the back. If you don't put this on a slightly tacky board and then try to do all this stuff, when you roll back the vinyl's backing, it can pull. So I got smart, I listened to what other people said and did, and I made a sticky board, which, by the way, making a sticky board means you take a nice clean piece of cardboard, spray it with spray adhesive, and then let it dry. You only want it to be tacky. If you put it on here with real wet glue, you're going to be very unhappy. All right, so I created a raptor pattern, and that's for my nephew, so we're gonna do it on the back of his shirt, and then I'm gonna figure out what color I'm going to do it in. I gotta turn this way just so I can make sure I've got it straight, because anytime I do anything from the side, it's never straight. And I could very well end up making this crooked anyway, but I'd like to try to attempt to get it on here the right way from the beginning. I don't want that there. I want it moved over just a little bit. Sorry. Got it about where I want it. I just need to straighten the shirt out. And see that adhesive backing that holds the fusible vinyl, this stuff, this adhesive backing is really, really important on fabric, because otherwise things just sort of roll around. All right, let me figure out what color I'm releasing this in. I think olive green pebbles is good. I think that would look good on this. All right, so we've got it set to, it's mounted, it's set, and we're gonna put our iron on and start melting that vinyl adhesive. And you can see what I mean by clearing. See how the head has just a little bit of clear spot and the body is much clearer, and the feet, you have to wait until it all turns clear. And then you might even want to work on it a little more to make sure it's really good and cleared, because I prefer it when, I find it peels back and works best the darker or the more clear it gets. Great to see so many people here. I appreciate you all coming by. Jennifer has been on vacation all week, so I bet she's nice and tan and relaxed. I hope she's probably back in the studio now, I think, catching up on work. Either that or she's still at the lake, because that's where I'd be. If I were her. Sometimes I go on vacation and I never want to come back. Okay, so I have heated that enough, and we're going to slowly and carefully roll it back. I try to never pull this up straight. Why? That creates tension, where if I have a spot that's a little stuck, it'll pull it and tear it. If I roll it back like this, it lets go much better. See, that was a little spot right there that wanted to roll back. So if that happens, it means your vinyl may be getting a little cold. So put your iron back on the area and then roll it back, because it'll let go. Okay, it'll let go except for that, right there. Sorry, my raptor toenail just wants to come up with me. And see, that's what happens. When it gets cold, it will break, it will peel. You have to make sure it's warm while you're rolling it back. Give me just a second, it's still not quite warm enough to be grabbing. And there we go. Oh, come on, you little stinker, stay down. You too. Little stinkers just want to peel back up. Now, if you find that you've had a piece that didn't completely transfer, like I had right here, you just replace it, scrub it down, apply a little more heat, pull it back. That fixes it. I have done a lot of work to figure some of that stuff out, simply because I don't always move fast enough to make, things want to peel the way they're supposed to. So that happens. All right, let me take a piece of foil. We're going to cut a piece the size of our raptor. And of course, I've got so much stuff going on that the foil wants to grab to wherever I set it down on anything. Okay, now we're going to test the foil to see if I've got my iron too hot, but it seems to be good right now. I'm leaving it set on silk. And I am just hitting all of the raptor. Now, I will show you another. If you find that you need more heat, or your iron's wanting to get too hot, this is parchment paper. Parchment paper, an ironing cloth, an ironing rag, any of those things that you use to aid in ironing, that'll work. All right, so I've got to press down for at least 30 seconds here. I got to put a little pressure on it. making sure that it's completely adhered to the vinyl, or to the vinyl heat transfer adhesive. Sorry, I keep wanting to say vinyl because heat transfer vinyl adhesive is a mouthful. Do you know the temperature when using a heat press? I have no idea. I have never used a heat press in my life. So, I know this is gonna sound dumb, but if you have an instant hot thermometer, you know, like the kind they use in the kitchens that you flip out, has a battery and it reads the temperature instantly, maybe take an instant hot at the silk and nylon settings on your iron and hold it up against the heat to see what it is. It'll take the heat. That's not the issue. You might get a better read on where your temperature needs to be for that. Okay, let me see if I've got this adhered. If it looks like it's stuck everywhere it needs to be stuck to. And it does. It looks good. All right, so I just have to let this cool. And then, all right, sorry, gotta pull everything off. Pull the t-shirt out. Now, if I was smart, I'd have about 6 of these boards. But I'm not that smart because that's not how my day worked today. We're gonna pull, let's see. I don't wanna pull that there, see. I'm messing with it too much and I'm actually causing some of the stuff to pull back because I didn't let it cool enough. All right, we're gonna set that over there. That's fine. We'll use you don't need it for the last bit of this. Okay, so you can see this actually peeled itself off. Look how nice that came out on there. That stem, Christopher Mark, it all transferred beautifully. I'm very pleased with that. Now I just got to find the top of the flower, which could be just about anywhere on my table, even though I set it aside very, very carefully. Because when I get moving and busy around here, I flip things around. All right, let's see. Where else could I have put it? Sorry, everybody. This could be confusing for me. This could take me a minute. Either that or I could just say to heck with it and we'll pull out the Cthulhu and I'll put that on my son's shirt. Because I was getting really good at getting these designs layered and I don't know where the little flower went. It's probably stuck on something else somewhere. I'm so annoyed with myself right now. All right, we're gonna go with Cthulhu here then. Because by the time I get Cthulhu cooled off, or pressed on here, we should be able to do take the Raptor off the other shirt. You can see how the transfer. This is my son's t-shirt. I'm going to take a chance and do this without the board. All right. And you're gonna see if I struggle with this, because it's always good for you to see. And again, this is for my son who is used to being the guinea pig in my house for all of my projects. You're gonna see, so I gotta flap this out to get it to lie smooth so I can put this up here. I think we're gonna put Cthulhu up here on his shoulder. And again, if I screw this up, then you all can see why you don't do it the way I said you don't do it. Because now I'm going rogue here, folks. I'm doing it exactly how I told you not to do it. I'm doing it without the t-shirt board. I'm getting nervy. I hope you all are a little nervous because now I'm getting nervous too. Oh, you're gonna try this week. You're gonna love it. What is the washing instructions and how does it hold up? Wash, machine wash, cold water, no dryer, no iron. These hold up very well. I literally did my very first one. I tested on a tote bag. That the first thing I did was go home, take it, and wash it and see how it held up. And let me tell you, it held up really well, as long as you don't put the iron back on it or the dryer, because both will reactivate adhesive. So you might find it stuck, but also reactivating adhesive with heat a lot of times makes it brittle. So it's cold water wash, line dry, no iron. All right, so now we're gonna start rolling this back to peel it off, I hope. She says, hopefully. I want it to clear a little more. And if you do this in a really big pattern, be prepared to heat and cut pieces of this off as you're weeding it off of the fabric, or you're peeling it off of the fabric, I mean, because like you saw, if it gets cold, it wants to stick back. So you want to make sure that this is nice and warm, because then it rolls back really well. And if it gets cold, just flop the plastic back down and heat that area so it continues to peel off really nicely, so you don't ruin your release that you've worked so hard for. And there we go. Yay, nicely done. Cthulhu's there. My son will be so happy. All right, for this one, it's a black shirt. We're gonna do olive for him too, because he actually showed, well, that dinosaur I did an olive, didn't I? No. He likes olives. My son likes blue, black, gray, olive. You know, he's likes dark colors, so this will work just as well on that. When I do my nephew's shirt, the raptor is gonna be, what was that other shirt my nephew's? I don't know. Good Lord, I do too many things. I have too many people and I can't keep track of any of it all. This is why, you know, I stay in my studio a lot because I just can't keep track of stuff. All right, so now I've peeled that back. I'm still on my silk setting. I am just ironing down the foil to the adhesive, making sure the whole adhesive area has been heated and the foil has bonded to it, and then we're gonna let it cool. And a little bit of pressure is always good. I love doing this. I do everything. When I first got this in, I opened my first tube on Alive so that you guys could see how I struggled the first time I got stuff. I've actually now typed up full, complete directions on how to do this to make everybody's life easier, and I'm more than happy to share it with anybody who's interested. Even if you're not buying the product from me, if you're buying it from Jennifer, I'll send Jennifer the information and she can send you the typed up copy. However, I'm sure she's got it all handled very well. All right, so we're gonna let that cool. And then we're gonna come back, and this is already cooled, so we're gonna peel it off and see what needs some attention. Wow, that's released really well, except right there. So I can go back here with my foil. Now, I'm actually gonna take a fresh piece of foil, because really, once you've done any heat release on a piece of foil and played with it with the heat, it's not going to be a good thing to try to re-release it over adhesive. The foil will not release. It just doesn't work that way. All right, so we're gonna take this and we're gonna press. And I gotta make sure that I'm not pressing on the foil that I already released without a new piece of foil all over it. All right, and give it a few seconds. Let it keep going. Stuck right there. Just gonna go in with the tips of my iron and make sure it's bonded to wherever I think we were a little thin on the adhesive. There we go. All right, that'll cool. We'll be able to pull this off now. The one thing I did notice with this is this adhesive generally cools much quicker than some of the others I've worked with under an iron. Oh, this is good. All right, now we got the release I wanted to show you. There is our Cthulhu. You can see that gorgeous pebble texture in the, it's not showing up on the camera, but I guarantee you it's there. You see that great pebble texture. We have great fine line detail release. This is really nice, and it'll go in the washing machine. Where did you get the designs? I hired somebody to make a bunch of designs for me. I bought them from one of my design people, so I'm very happy with that. If you want the designs that you see me cutting today, any of them, you of course can reach out to me personally and I will let you know what the cost of them is. But you know, I also know that Jennifer's making some limited edition designs. I have some, they're already on my website. I think she's got some already on her website. And I think we are done for today. So again, regular fabric, our fabric foil adhesives going with our wonderful, where's the roll? I want to show you the roll again. Our wonderful vinyl transfer films. See if I can say this right once. Heat transfer vinyl adhesive. I know I have to take a deep breath because that's a lot of work for me to remember all of those words. And remember, when you're cutting the words, they should read backwards to you when you're cutting them, because when you mount them, they will read backwards. I should not be able to read this. Should be backwards. I did it wrong. All right, everybody. Don't hesitate to sprinkle the love around. Talk to Jennifer, talk to me, ask anybody any questions you want about this product. I am in love with this. I have been like hanging out here with my Cricut maker, just cranking through different decals that I'm creating with this, or I don't even know what to call them. They're basically heat transfers. I should stop calling them decals. I should stop calling them stencils. I am making heat transfers. I've been doing this all week. I've already blasted through a full roll of this. So do not hesitate to reach out. Nancy, I think you're asking if I sell my heat transfer vinyls cut with my own designs, and the answer is yes. I think that's what you were asking. I will be discussing more about what I'm selling when I'm not on Jennifer's page. I'm trying to be respectful to her page. So definitely check out her stuff. If you want to see my page, you're more than welcome to. It will be listed on Artistic Painting Studio. I'm not Artistic Painting Studio. Jennifer is Artistic Painting Studio. I'm just Painted Studio. So with the two names, two vinyls, too much stuff going on, I'm getting myself very confused. I think I'm the one who needs a vacation next. All right. Any questions about this for anything that you want to know that I personally carry, feel free to message me. But Jeff, check this out. This is Jennifer's page. She carries all these vinyls. She carries all the foils. I'm her retailer. I am not her supplier. So definitely check her out. You'll enjoy it. If you have any questions, reach out to Jennifer, reach out to me. I'm here for you all. Thank you, Gina, for saying you love me, because God knows I'm like kind of a babbling idiot today. All right, I'm gonna hang up from here. I might be live on my own page in another 15 minutes, so if you need to see more of this, this is what I'm doing all night tonight. I got a lot of t-shirts to finish up. All right, everybody, I'll talk to you later. Thanks. Bye.